Gray Zone Warfare. I have put about 100 hours into Gray Zone since the Spearhead update launched. Not long after the patch dropped, I made a video with my first impressions and how I thought this patch was a meaningful step in the right direction for this game, and I absolutely still believe that. But I wanted to follow up that video with some more comprehensive thoughts now that I've put so much time into the patch. Yes, the focus of this video is on things I think need to be changed, adjusted, or mechanics that I think the game needs to add going forward. But that doesn't mean that I think the patch is bad or that I think Gray Zone is in a bad state. The point I made with my last video was now that they've done such a good job fixing up the foundation of the game, you can spend so much more time engaging with the mechanics of the game, and that ultimately reveals some areas that need refinement. First impressions are good and important, but real constructive feedback formulated after giving the patch a significant amount of hours is also an important part of this process. Also, I don't consider my opinion more important than anybody else's. Obviously, I can only represent myself here and my thoughts on the game, but this stuff is supposed to be more of a conversation than a definitive statement. Let me know down in the comments what you think about all the things that I bring up. I can assure you that if any of the devs watch this video, they will absolutely be reading the comments as well, so please feel free to share your thoughts. TLDR, yes, this is a video focused on issues or changes that I think need to be made, but I stand by my opinion that this patch significantly moved the game forward and Gray Zone has never felt better. Hey, did you know that you can get 20% off anything on ghostlifestyle.com using code KAZAM at checkout? Yes, this channel is sponsored by Ghost now, and if you need anything from protein powder, pre-workout, or hydration drinks, Ghost has you covered. They have some absolutely insane collabs like Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms. They dropped a bunch of new hydration drinks recently as well. They've got the powders or the pre-made sticks if you're looking for something on the go. And for me personally, I absolutely love their clear whey protein. It tastes just like juice. It is literally phenomenal. But once again, you can get 20% off anything on ghostlifestyle.com by using code KAZAM at checkout. Thank you so much to Ghost for sponsoring the channel. Now let's get back to the video. And let's start with something that every player interacts with a ton when playing Gray Zone, and something that has always been a focus of feedback, and that is the AI. The AI in Gray Zone back when the game first launched was a huge point of contention among the community. It felt like they could see one pixel of you through just about any terrain, and the first bullet out of their gun would hit you in the face and you would have to run back to your body. They've made a lot of changes to the AI this patch, and sometimes it can feel like that pendulum has maybe swung the other way and the AI aren't really a threat anymore until they are. This seems like a super hard needle to thread. It's a fine line between too hard and too easy, especially since the dialogue around the AI from the player's perspective is almost always centered around getting one tap. Back in the day, people would say the AI was too difficult and too brutal, and now I'm seeing more than a few people say that the AI is too easy and they miss how it was before. But at the end of the day, they don't really seem any more or less intelligent. For example, back in point 1, when a group of AI would aggro you, they would kind of just stand in the middle of the road and shoot you, and they would often hit you in the face and kill you. But now when a group of AI aggro you, they still kind of just stand in the middle of the road, they're just missing their shots now. It seems like the vision and accuracy knobs are the only ones getting tuned here, and that's kind of what creates that super fine line. If all other things are equal, having the visibility up too much means they see you through the bushes. If it's too low, means they don't see you standing right in front of them. If accuracy is too high, you get one tapped all the time. And if it's too low, then they just miss all their shots. Behind the scenes from a developer side, I know that there's so much more work that goes into their pathing, their health pools, their actions and reactions to the environment. But the way the AI are manifested to the player is almost always just about how often they kill you. I definitely don't envy the people that have to work on the AI, and I definitely don't know how to fix it, but I would love to see a more dynamic middle ground. I would love to see AI searching for you when they hear shots instead of just instantly knowing where you are. I'd love to see them scatter and take cover when one of them dies instead of just standing in the middle of the road shooting at you. I would love to see them use suppressing fire more often, even when they can't see you, to create tension in the fights. Some of these things do happen occasionally, but most of the time that you are engaging the AI, you are just one tapping them while they are standing still through your 6x scope. Once again, I don't think it's easy, and I respect the hell out of the people that work on this stuff, but I think it's an important piece of feedback. Another issue with the AI right now is their perceived tankiness. We covered this a bit in my last video, but since there are no vital organs in the neck area on the AI, they can tank a lot of shots there. But if we add a spine or some sort of organ to the neck area to make killing the bots feel better, would that get applied to players as well? Because then that would just end up in one more area that you can get one tapped in. This kind of comes down to the realism thing and how much they want that to be a two-way street. There's often a lot of realism for thee and not for me going on in games like this, especially with the AI. When I shoot someone in the neck with a .308 caliber round and they just shake it off and then start shooting back at me, that feels bad. It's immersion breaking to not have that person like freak out and run and hide and heal. I want them to react in a more real way. But at the same time, as players, we don't want to be restricted by that. Like, I want to have agency and I want to feel in control of my character right up until I die. If I get shot but don't die, I don't want to be in the fetal position on the floor crying. I want to be moving around. And to be honest, I think that's a perfectly fine thing. I think it's kind of just the nature of video games, that power fantasy that I am more powerful than the average guy. And then even on the other end, sometimes it can feel like the player has to put up with realism that the AI doesn't. If I do get shot a couple of times and I don't die, I have 75 status effects and I'm seeing triple vision. And yet there seems to be no perceived accuracy debuff to the AI when I shoot them a couple of times and they don't die. If I get shot and catch a heavy bleed as the player, I have to 911, find cover and find time to heal that bleed so that I don't go into a coma. But if you injure the AI, yeah, they'll kind of limp around a little bit, but they won't go to heal. They will aggro you right up until they bleed out. Ultimately, they have to figure out how they want this dialed in, and I love that the AI animations for when they get shot are a little bit more dramatic now, and I would personally rather the AI be a little on the easier side than on the harder side, but they kind of have to figure out what direction they want to take it. I know that they have more AI changes coming that they just weren't able to make it into this patch, so I will happily, patiently wait to see what they have cooking. Just wanted to give my thoughts. Moving on, however, the next thing I want to talk about is the new task system. This might be the thing that I have changed my opinion on most since launch. I love how the new questing system looks visually. I love that it encourages more exploration out into new places on the map. And I love that it really makes you feel like you have a lot of things to do and you can choose how, when, and where you do them. All of that is awesome. But I don't think the game was ready for them to change the linear structure of the tasks to a more open, free-flowing one. It can often create a lot of weird and confusing situations. For example, leveling Banshee, Artisan, or Turncoat are excruciatingly painful because they don't have any main story tasks, which give significantly more XP. There's no map filter, so it's extremely hard to find tasks for the trader that you were looking for. All of the tasks given by Banshee, Artisan, and Turncoat give such low XP that it's much more time efficient to just farm loot and then sell things to them. And the tasks that the game give you at any given time kind of feel arbitrarily given. Like, if I have Handshake, Gunny, and Lab Rat level 4 already, why are 90% of the tasks I have on the map for those 3 traders? We are already starting to see this weird meta where people accept a bunch of quests for the traders that they're not trying to level up, then they throw a grenade on the ground killing themselves, which fails all of those tasks, and then the map refreshes with tasks, hopefully for the traders you're trying to level up. Also, if I have max traders, what is my motivation to continue to quest? I don't need the XP or the trader rep or really any of the rewards. Once again, it's way more time efficient to just farm loot and sell it. It would be cool if the main story quest was focused on reputation, leveling traders, and then the side tasks and the contracts could give more things like resources to level up cops or things that you can't buy from the traders, or something like that. And then finally, it's not really communicated very well why we are replaying the main storyline tasks over and over. I believe it's because you need to gain a high enough reputation in the area or with a particular trader before they give you a new main story task, but even now I'm not 100% sure. And even when you do complete all of the MSQ, you still just keep getting those quests over and over again. This has to be one of the most confusing things in the game and one of the most common questions I get asked. How do I progress the storyline? I think replaying these tasks over and over again removes part of the sense of progression and immersion from the game. The game just felt more satisfying when you know you were kind of doing quests in a line, when you were going to get a new quest after you did the quest that you just completed. I know they said that they added more quests this patch, but my perception as a gamer is that I'm just doing the same 10 to 20 tasks over and over again. It feels like there are less tasks, even if there are more. And I understand and I love the intention. I love that they wanted there to be more replayability and more to do in the game. I love that they separated out the side tasks and the contracts, but they just don't really feel distinct enough. I also still think that you shouldn't fail main tasks and have to wait for them to repopulate on the map again when you die. I think that's totally fine for side tasks and contracts, but it feels bad for the main story. I'm really glad that they tried something new here with this patch though. I can see the vision of how cool this system could be if maybe we met in the middle a little bit, and I'm excited for them to keep iterating on it and experimenting with this stuff. Moving on, it is time we talk about PvP. Now, I know that this is not a PvP focused game, but the PvP mechanics that are present in the game definitely need to be tuned. And before we dive into this, I am all for a game having less of a focus on player versus player. I'm a PvP player through and through, but I can appreciate the different levels of PvP. Player fights in a game like DayZ happen much less frequently than a game like Tarkov, but because it's less frequent and because of the inherent stakes, it makes those fights really intense. I don't mind at all that the PvP in Gray Zone isn't the focus, but I love that it's there to add tension and risk to the gameplay loop. and they obviously want it in the game, or else they would have just made a PvE game. So with all that in mind, I think we should be allowed to provide feedback on how the game's systems encourage or discourage that PvP. And right now, I think a lot of the mechanics in the game prevent the player fights in this game from being as cool as they could be. Let's start with the PvP circles that pop up when players fight. These were added during the Winds of War update last year, and I can see what they are going for here, and I do find them quite helpful to see kind of what's going on the map, but they can also create a lot of new issues. In this patch specifically, they have been very inconsistent and buggy and will often just not show up even when you are in a PvP fight. But additionally, because of the nature of how they are drawn on the map, you can pretty easily identify exactly where your target is. And that kind of feels like it rewards the player who's being careless and punishes the player who's taking time to get into position. There have been many times where I'm just kind of running through a field, I get shot at, I go prone in the tall grass, check my map, and now I know exactly where this guy is, and I pop up and I kill him. That doesn't seem fair to him that he had to wait to get a visual on me, but I get to know kind of where he is without having a visual on him. Also, because a PvP circle will show up even when an enemy is suppressed, random shooting by a player will suppress another player in the area, and then boom, a PvP circle shows up and everybody knows where the players are. It just kind of feels like it undermines the type of PvP this game wants. Like the more slow, methodical milsim tactics are thrown out the window when a guy on the radio just tells everyone that there's a player nearby. Additionally, the COP system, the combat outposts, this also needs a lot of work. PvP fights that happen in the COPs can often feel really bad and really cheesy because if you own the COP, you can access your stash at any time while you're in it. So you get in these situations where people will just depot all their gear in their stash if they don't want to fight. I can also just grab loot off of dead bodies and throw it into my stash live during a fight. And at any time, I have the ability to safely end my deployment and essentially combat log while I'm in a COP that I own. I personally think that as long as a COP is contested, you shouldn't be able to access your stash or safely end deployment. The playing field should be level between the attackers and the defenders, especially since the defenders already have the advantage with the extra AI, which is nice because they call out when and where they see somebody. I also think something should be done about the infinite respawn at nearby COPs. It can feel like you never truly have a moment to loot, heal, and recuperate when you are defending a COP because you often just have a non-stop stream of naked men with pistols or bolties running from the nearest COP. And unless you have a bunch of people in your squad or you can convince your faction members to help you, taking over those nearby COPs can be almost impossible because when you go to take that one, the enemy just comes in and take the one that you just left and the cycle continues. It feels like the PvP in this game is just which team wears down the other one faster. There's never really a feeling of winning, just one team finally giving up. Maybe allowing one respawn per COP and then having like a 10 to 15 minute cooldown would help. It would give you a chance to go back if you died. But if you died again, now you have to spawn at the next farthest COP. And then if you die again, you have to spawn at the next farthest COP, all the way until you're spawning at base. That would still give the attacking team a chance to like kind of go again if they die, but reward the defending team if they are successfully defending because it would start to take longer and longer for those attackers to come back. I don't know though, there are a lot of ideas and a lot of ways they could go with this. It's definitely a tough situation because you have to balance the PvP so it feels rewarding, but not overly punishing. It needs to be fun to attack and fun to defend. The cops have to be useful, but not too cheesy. You want to be able to get your body, but not too fast. I don't know. There's a lot here and it's just kind of the corner that they've painted themselves in, but I definitely feel like these mechanics need a lot of work. Moving on, however, I do have a few rapid fire little things that weren't big enough to make their own section of the video, so I'm just going to kind of group them together. First, I don't know how they fix this because this is something that every single game with a day-night cycle has to deal with, but the gamma and filter abuse when it is nighttime is pretty brutal. It's not like cheating or anything. Anyone can pull up their NVIDIA settings and set up a filter in 5 minutes that renders nighttime irrelevant, and you can't really ban them for it, but it makes nighttime insufferable if you are trying to play the game the way it was intended. Trying to use night vision, IR lights, or even just a flashlight in the jungle to see in the dark, and having some dude beam you full auto from 50 meters away, and they're not wearing NVGs and don't even have a flashlight on their gun, is just a huge feels bad. Once again, I don't know how to fix it, but I would personally rather it just be day 24/7 than have to deal with that. I also think that the player movement in general in this game still needs a lot of work. I like the attack sprint that they added, but there is just something about how your character moves in this game that feels off. Like if you try to walk or run down a flight of stairs, you often just jump down the whole thing. It feels like I don't have full gravity on my character or something. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but you can feel this a lot too when you're trying to like move down some terrain and you hop off a rock that's like 6 inches tall and your character tumbles to the ground like he just jumped off a cliff. It just feels a little weird and needs to be grounded a little bit more in my opinion. I also think the amount of stamina you have for when you tack sprint or when you hold breath should be adjusted. It feels like we should have a little bit more here, or maybe like a soft skill that I can increase over time that gives me a little bit more. And then the last thing here, it's kind of PvP adjacent, but the aggressor system in this game really needs to be adjusted. I'm glad there's something here and I love the intention behind it, but so much of the system doesn't make sense. I should at least be able to turn the aggressor system off for people in my squad if I want to. I want them to be able to loot my body and grab something if they need it, and I don't want them punished if they accidentally shoot me in the leg while we are pinching an enemy. Also, there should absolutely be a way to forgive somebody if they're an aggressor. If someone in my faction accidentally shoots me and they're pretty chill, I should be able to forgive them. They shouldn't have to wait down the entire time. Currently, the system doesn't really do a good job of disincentivizing people from team killing or from taking other people's loot. It just kind of ends up hurting people who made an innocent mistake, and it definitely makes squad play more frustrating. Finally, though, I do have some more general thoughts on the core gameplay loop of Grayzone. This world that they've built is huge and it's beautiful, and everything they've added to it is awesome, and it is just begging for more things to do. Right now, the loop in Grayzone is just quests to level up your traders, farm up some money so you can buy some cool gear, and maybe go PvP or clear out some of the high tier areas on the maps. But those loops feel like they kind of have distinct beginning and ends. Once you get level 4 traders, there's not really any reason to quest. Farm a decent amount of money, and then you kind of just feel set, because with how often you can get your body back when you die, there's almost no way that you can spend all of that money. And I think part of this feeling comes from the fact that you can buy just about everything from the traders. Nothing really feels unique because nothing is scarce. I was noticing this when I was farming up money and buying some of the more larger expensive cases, and then I kind of just thought, what am I going to fill these with? It'd be more efficient for me to keep almost nothing in my stash and then just buy things as I need them, because I can buy the best armor, the best helmets, the best guns, the best meds, the best ammos right from the trader whenever I want in infinite quantities. There's no gun or ammo that I get excited to find in a crate or off a dead player, because I can pretty much just buy it all. And I understand that a lot of people wouldn't have gotten max traders as fast as me, since I'm afforded the ability to play more than the average person. But the point is, whether it takes you 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months to get to max traders, when you do, it feels more like you are done than it feels like you are just getting started. If some guns and ammo were off the traders and only able to be found in the world, it would maybe create a little bit more of a replayable loop of wanting to explore the world for reasons other than just questing. Like, it'd be fun to go on ammo runs where you're farming this area to get some of the high tier ammo so that you can go PvP with it. It would still allow people who don't have a million hours to grind the game, players that may never reach max traders, the ability to find some of the best gear out in the world and use it. And it would add some risk to your engagements with AI or with other players, because there would be risk of losing something that you might not be able to immediately replace. In general, I think the game has a lot of faucets and not a lot of sinks. You can make a lot of money over time by farming the high tier areas like Tiger Bay and Midnight Sapphire, but there aren't a whole lot of ways you can lose money, since PvP is pretty avoidable and you can get your body back most of the times that you die to the AI. Now, I know that oftentimes when I talk about stuff like this, it can be interpreted as some no-life gamer just wanting the game to be harder for the casuals, and that really is not my intention at all. I just want the game to have more than just quest until max traders and then farm money until you're bored. There is functionally no difference between $1 million and $10 million. There's no difference between level 20 and level 100 as long as you have max traders, and the world is not really set up to create incentives to do more. Yet. I know that they have a ton of stuff planned. I know that this is still beta, and a very small amount of content planned for the game is currently in the game. But at the end of the day, I can't give feedback on what I think might happen. I can only look at what we have now. And I am sure that Madfinger Games has some awesome tricks up their sleeve in this realm, and I am super excited to see what they are. I'm not saying the game should be harder or more miserable, or you shouldn't be able to get your stuff back when you die, or you should have to grind 1,000 hours to experience all the content in the game. I don't want to take anything away. I just want more. I don't want to gatekeep anything. I just want more choices. And I'm excited for more meaningful ways to engage with the game and the world outside of just questing. I would love dynamic world events like a plane or a helicopter crash that drops cool loot and creates organic PvP catalysts. I would love more things to save up and spend money on, like paying money for personal transport or buying crafting materials or fortifying cops. I would love the faction warfare to have a more meaningful impact on the world. I know they're working on it, and I'm very excited to see what they have planned and how it shapes the game in the future. But for now, those are my thoughts on the things that Grayzone Warfare should focus on improving in the near future. I have had an absolute blast playing the Spearhead update, and like I said in my first impressions video, I feel like they've done a great job of locking down the foundation of the game, and now the stage is set for them to add more and more to it, and I will absolutely be here for that ride. But I really do want to know what you think. Do you agree with some of these things? Do you disagree? Are there other things I missed that you feel like Grayzone needs to change or add to the game? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video and think I deserve it, think about dropping a like or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream Gray Zone and a lot of other tactical shooters or extraction shooters on Twitch and here on YouTube. Those links will be down below. And don't forget, ghostlifestyle.com. Use code Kazam at checkout for 20% off your order. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.